Okay, so I'm Rahul, born and brought up in Shimla, and then left to do my engineering and an MBA. And some time back, I started an organization called iWork. And in my opinion, all of us, the biggest failure that we face in our life is the failure to launch. On 13th May 1970, Apollo 13, which was a spacecraft which was launched by NASA into the space, faced a very, very immediate and serious problem. And they made this famous call to the NASA observatory in Houston. It goes like, Houston, we have a problem. And the problem that they were facing was that they had a massive explosion on board. And now the space shuttle was losing oxygen. The whole mission was, in danger. And most importantly, the lives of the people who were involved in that mission were really at stake. And then what happened, in the next 48 to 60 hours was that the crew on board and NASA on ground really somehow managed to fix the whole situation, and they were able to bring the spaceship down. All the lives were saved. So this is what I would call a successful failure, because of this mission and what went wrong, NASA learned a whole lot of things about how do you fix things when things go wrong, which are like 120,000 miles away from here. And so they developed a lot of protocols based on what went wrong in this mission. So this was a classical case where this was an eminent failure, and it actually turned out to be a moment of triumph for NASA. And during the same time, closer home in West, not West Bengal, East Pakistan those days, but now Bangladesh, the managers in a plant which used to manufacture pulp for making papers were facing a very, very astonishing phenomenon. They had lots and lots of bamboos growing all over their factory, and that bamboo was the prime raw material for their factory. And suddenly one day when they woke up, they realized all the bamboos are really flowered. And those of you who are agriculture graduates would know that when bamboos flower, that is the time they die. Yeah. So the managers of the plant are now in fix, that they have spent millions of dollars to create a plant based on the bamboos which are like, in your background, in your backyard. Now that raw material is not going to be available. Yeah. So then they found out, interesting ways of getting bamboo from, other places. They formed village committees so that they can start growing bamboo at a massive scale. They also experimented with some new, alternative raw materials. So again, the case where, there was a big problem. This problem was not anticipated. At the time when the planners were thinking of investing in a paper factory, but at the time when they faced the problem, they were somehow able to kind of solve it. So you've heard of this thing, right? That if we are faced with an adversity, and if we overcome it, then we eventually become more stronger, provided it doesn't kill us here. So this phenomena was studied in great detail by an economist. He just died in 2012, called Albert Hirschman, and he came up with an interesting phrase. He said, "It is almost by providence that there is a hand, which silently hides away all the problems that we will face when we are starting a venture." Because if we will see all the problems, if we have the foresight to see everything that we are going to face in future, we will be paralyzed. We will never start. So here is this hiding hand in play, which will hide away everything, every difficulty that we are going to face, so that we can dare to tackle the problems that we can. So, and I think this I see completely at play when you're starting your new venture. So some of you must be wanting to start your new venture, or thinking of whether you should do, or whether you should do, or should you not do. I think the most important thing when you're starting a venture, it can be anything. If you're starting a new company, or you want to take up some hobby, or you want to start running, or you want to learn music, I think the most important thing that all of us have to answer first is, are we willing to bleed for it? So how much sweat and blood we are going to put into this venture? Once you have answered that question, then I think things are much, much simpler. Now, I want to summarize things from my experience of starting a company and what we have learned from the principle of hiding hand into the six lessons, which are basically for any budding entrepreneur, anybody who wants to start something. And this is, I think the first is probably the most important one. And this is against conventional wisdom.
that you have to start before you're ready. Yeah. Because the fact is, you'll never know when you're ready, and you will never be ready. Now, to give you an example, let this go. When I was 26, and I was at campus at IRMA, and I started this organization called I Volunteer. If I knew about this whole laundry list of things, that these are the things that I have to do or that I will face in the next 10 years, I can tell you now, with my hand on my heart, I would have never started. These things would have really, really scared me. Yeah. But as it happened is that these things slowly unfolded. Yeah. As I started spending some more time in the organization, we did more things. These things kind of came up. And these were roadblocks. So we crossed that bridge when it came up, and we were able to kind of get over to the other side. So I think starting before you're ready is really the most important thing. I think the second thing is you also have to trust the universe. Yeah. So you have to trust the unconscious in you and the unconscious in other people, yeah, to help you when you're doing something. So in our case, it was one of our professors who very kindly introduced us to one of the top managers at ICICI Bank, yeah, to give us a first grant. Now it only happened because we made that call that yes, we are going to start something. We took that risk, and then there were lots and lots of people like our professor who kind of came up to kind of help us. And you have to really have some trust on this, that this universe, people around you will provide and will help you to kind of reach wherever you want to reach. And I think probably this, a lot of us must have faced. You ask your friends, "Are you wanted to start a venture, you wanted to do something, kya kar raha hai tu?" Okay, soch raha hu. Yeah. So this thinking is really, I would say, kind of a disease. Some thinking is good, yeah, but if you get into too much of thinking, it is not really, very good if you're starting something, because all of us are very, very smart. Yeah, we can always come out with reasons to not do anything. Yeah. And if you've noticed, the child doesn't have any problem into believing something or doing something, and nor does the madman or a genius. Yeah, it's only us, because we have larger brains. Yeah, and we have probably smaller hearts. We don't have the really courage to kind of go ahead and do this. So do the thinking, yeah, but do that maybe for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, and then kind of move into action. And again, this is the 3 points that I want to add from my side. You must have heard of this expression called "jump and the net will appear." Yeah. And this is a Zen philosophy, which basically is pushing you to take action with this belief, with this faith that once you have taken that step, there'll be some kind of a net that will come and hold you. You'll not fall and kill yourself. Now this net can be your family. This net can be, a godfather who will come and give you some money. This net can be a co-founder who will come and join you. Co-founders are really, really important if you're starting an organization or a venture. Yeah. But again, the important thing is to jump. So there is this joke, which I read that, there was a guy who would constantly, plead in front of God and say, "Bhagwan, meri lottery lag jaye, meri lottery lag jaye, lottery lag jaye." 10-15 साल तक उसने बोला मेरी लॉटरी लग जाए. एक दिन भगवान नीचे आए, तेरी लॉटरी लग जाएगी, पर टिकट तो खरीद. So ticket kharidna is, I think, an equivalent of taking that jump. Yeah, and the lesson 5 is probably around serendipity. That interesting accident, will happen. Things will happen by chance, but it will not happen by chance if you haven't really planned for it. Yeah. So I will not make a discovery like, let's say, the post-it notes or this artificial saccharine if I was not a scientist, if I was not working in a laboratory. Yeah. So those accidents will happen only in laboratories. It will not happen in my average day-to-day life. So in our case, this serendipity played at work was when we got our first grant from an international donor. So one of our donors, their executive actually missed her flight. Yeah. And then she had nothing better to do to kind of come over and meet a few organizations. And we also happened to be one of the organizations that she met. And that is the time she kind of decided to, make that grant to us. So if she had not missed her flight, we would have not got this big grant, and we would have not grown in, leaps and bounds in the way we kind of did. So serendipity is important, but it will favor the prepared, the plan. And I think this is probably the most important lesson that I learned doing this venture. So earlier when I used to introduce myself to people, I would tell them, I'm Rahul, I have started this organization called Mitra, and then there's a whole laundry list of things that we would tell them, that these are what we do. Yeah. And this used to leave the audience or the person I'm talking to very confused. Yeah. So then one of our seniors who also heads the ITC International Division, he gave us this example. He said, there's a company in the US, they only sweep floors. So if tomorrow you give them a big contract and say, can you clean glass doors, or can you clean glasses of big skyscrapers, they would not do that. And this company, because of this focus, has grown to some $30 to $40 million, billion dollar, not million dollar company, something like that. So I think this lesson he kind of gave us, that the narrower you will focus, the bigger you become. And maybe you will have this fear that if you're very narrowly focused, then you will be very small. But from small is where you will actually grow. So when our senior gave us this, this gyan about being focused narrowly, we were a 4 or 5 people organization. And since then, we decided to kind of focus on only one thing, which is volunteering, and we've grown to now about 45 people organization. So I think this is really, really important, for us as entrepreneurs, that we have to be very, very focused on what we want to do. So instead of doing everything, be focused on what is really, really important, what is your really core competency. And I think all of us, if let's say our life expectancy is around 65 years, we're going to work for 40 years in our life. And I think it'll be a shame, if we spend this time following somebody else's dream, doing somebody else's job, or not really enjoying this work. So I think it is imperative. I think it is each and everybody's responsibility to make these 40 years of work really, really memorable. And I think what is really, really important is that you find very soon in your life that what is it you love. And because if you find it sooner in your life, then you can give your best years. When you're young, when there's like more strength in your bones, your heart is really, really strong, you can take lots of risks and all of that. So find whatever you love sooner in life. So then you can give your best years to it and may probably make something out of it. Thank you so much.